This is Money Talk 1310 and 100.9. Welcome to the Real Estate PB&J Hour, hosted by Realtors Paul Fuqua and Joyce Carcase, who are experts in the fundamentals of buying and selling homes and other real estate properties. Now, here's Paul and Joyce.
Well, good afternoon, folks. I hope you're enjoying the beautiful weather we're having. My partner is not able to be with us today, so you're going to have to bear along with me going solo with my guests. I was asked to explain PB&J. It's very simple: Paul, business, and Joyce. Beyond that, a PB&J is an American staple, and hopefully we will be an American staple in your real estate life. The first thing we start out with today is the market update, which is continuing to set historic levels of lack of inventory, and which is directly influencing values. As of yesterday, there were 2,576 active listings on the MLS. That's 2,576. But actually, only 58%, or 1,400 and some, of those are available. The others are under contract with contingencies, which have not as yet been removed. Now, we're always asked, well, what do you mean a contingency? What do you mean? I said, well, a contingency is we're going to buy this if this is right, or if that happens. And the ifs predominantly in this area are homeowners inspections or home buyers inspections. That's a contingency. It's a walkaway. And then homeowners associations contingencies, which by law cannot be waived. If your prospective new home is in a neighborhood that's controlled by a homeowners association, then you're going to be required by the state to receive and sign off on the homeowners association bylaws and regulations. So those elements conspire to keep the active count down. Despite the fact that we show, if you go on Zillow or Realtor.com or some of the other services websites, that we're really dealing with only 1,400 approximate number of true active listings. Now, what does that mean? That means ours remains a significantly extreme seller's market. In all the price ranges, with the exception of the houses over $2 million. And there aren't that many of those, although a record was set this past week in that a very, very expensive home, supposedly one of the most expensive homes ever in the history of this area, was went under contract. And I think it was $9 million or something like that. But that's beyond my pale. Now, where are you? You're on the Real Estate PB&J Hour. I'm Paul Fuqua with Rosenwalmer Realty. Reintroduce myself and reset. One of the things that we talk about in discussing the market is the absorption rate. And the absorption rate is a statistical study of how long houses are on the market from the time they are listed till the time they go pending, meaning all contingencies have been removed. Additionally, those numbers are compared with what's on the market, so that if you have 100 houses per month being sold and you have 100 houses in inventory out there to be sold, you have a market of 1-to-1. You have an absorption rate, if they're doing 100 a month, of 1 month. In this area, we are dealing with less than a month. We're dealing more like 27 days as an average time for the all price ranges, with the exception of the over $2 million. And that is critical to realize, because that impacts not only the perception of the market on the part of the people who aren't in it. I know every time I go to lunch with somebody, how's the real estate market? I understand it's really hot and everybody's doing well. I said, well, everybody's doing well if you have listings, if you have a product to sell, and if you are selling your home, you have some place to which you can move. So those are elements that you've got to take into consideration when you call people like me, Paul Fuqua, or Joyce Carcase. Now, the other element that's happening is our average prices, because of the nature of the market, are going up. In this area, Williamsburg, York, Cosen, Hampton, Newport News, Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Suffolk, Smithfield, and northeastern North Carolina, and I may have left something out, Portsmouth, the average prices range from the high of $470,000 in Williamsburg to the low of $227,000 in Portsmouth. Interestingly enough, the average price per foot in Portsmouth is higher than the average price of Franklin and Smithfield at $143 a foot. And for quickie rule of thumb calculations, if you wanted to determine what the approximate value of your house is without having to call a realtor, just get the footage. You probably know it. It's 3,000 or 2,400 square feet or whatever, and apply or multiply it by the average price per foot for your area. When we are really getting into the discerning the market value of your home, we're going to look at the price per foot that is historically been applied to houses in your neighborhood, because people buy neighborhood first, house second. And that neighborhood may well be a consequence of they like the lots, or they like the proximity to the school, or it's proximity to the ocean, or proximity to other bodies of water where they can fish or bass or whatever. So the highest price per foot average in the area is Virginia Beach's at $205 a foot. And then that's followed, interestingly enough, by northeastern North Carolina at $198 a foot. These are prices that are calculated as averages across all price ranges. And we like to use those for comparing the values of jurisdiction to jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Now, if you're going to buy a house, in 99% of the instances, you're going to need a mortgage. So we've brought back Bill Lane from Southern Trust Mortgage, and he's going to give us an update on market conditions. Welcome, Bill.
I appreciate the invite. So
Talk into the mic for me, please.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, as long as you don't. I don't want you looking at me. I want you looking at the mic.
I don't want to look at you either, Paul.
I know that. I have a face for radio. Now realize that I have two fellas here. They're both way over 6 feet. I'm vertically challenged, as is Dino. And so we're somewhat in awe of the size of these two guys. And actually, they don't compare to our new governor. And if you haven't seen him in person, he's a 6'7" strapping man, and he's destined for great things for our state, I think. Anyway.
I know one thing, Paul, in this small studio.
Yes.
I'm feeling a little intimidated with these tall guys in here.
I know. And the other problem is they're both so much more knowledgeable about things than I am. I don't know about you, Dino, but I know they are than I am. All right. Give me an update.
Truth in radio, Paul.
Yeah, I know. Give me an update on interest rates and other conditions relating to the mortgage market there, Mr. Lane.
Nice specific question. Thank you. All right. So as far as rates, the last 90 days, going into the holiday season, beginning of December, either way, you are looking at an interest rate market that has definitely changed enough for everybody to notice. We are no longer maybe in that refi boom type of interest rate range that everybody was enjoying for, I don't know, maybe 2 years. And we are now at a point where you're going to see people looking at their payment a little bit more. They're going to make a little bit more conscious decisions on what programs they might go with. But as far as the applications, I know that's one of the things we were talking about earlier. Applications, of course, are off because the phone isn't necessarily ringing for the refinance part that the mortgage industry would be involved in. But as far as the housing is concerned, people looking to get pre-qualified, the activity's still there. It's just a matter of inventory, everything that we've been talking about for the last couple months. And the issue that's going to carry us into the spring and then the summer, I think we're going to have an exciting, busy market. But that's pretty much where we are now. We're still seeing good applications come in for purchases.
Are people, do you think they're shying away because there's volatility in the rate structure right now? Or we hear that, well, I'm just not quite ready to make a decision yet. I'm going to put it off. And besides which, I'm looking for a house that has 30 acres and I don't want to be able to see my neighbors, but I want to be able to walk to the grocery store. That's the kind of house that we're looking for some people. But okay. Are you seeing them being somewhat shy about pursuing a mortgage for a new buy because of the volatility of the rates?
So it's basically human nature. We deal with it in any market, but definitely in a market like this where there's been a little bit of a change. And what I mean by the human nature aspect, it's emotional versus practical. So your first emotion is, wait a second, I want to have the rate I kept hearing about at the water cooler at work for the last 2 years. What are we discussing now? Or why are we talking about this? Whatever the case may be. That's the emotional response, and that can be a kicker. So a lot of times when we're talking to our clients, we're asking the question, how much do you want to buy? And it's very interesting. That emotional response will be, we don't want to go over $350,000. Well, the practical response is, how much can you afford a month? And when you sit down and start showing that, you will see that maybe every 1/8% or 1/4% is emotionally upsetting to you. But at the end of the day, it's really, it's money that can be afforded. And when you start laying it out that way and you look at the way you're going to approach your purchase, then you step back. So right now, I think what we are seeing is that first emotional response came in out of the holidays, got into the new year, trying to get everything straight, maybe tax time, getting their taxes done, whatever the case may be. And then hearing there's been a little bit of a change in rates. That emotional response is starting to subside. They're starting to understand that practically the rates are excellent. They're historically excellent. The payments are excellent. And it's something they should look at and make the decision with.
Bill, I want to continue on with that, but we're going to take a break so we can get the sponsors out there and you can be hearing their messages. This is Paul Fuqua with the Real Estate PB&J Hour. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, Bill will continue, and we'll even be talking about second homes. See you in a few minutes. Bye.
Money Talk Traffic.
Stop and go in Hampton, 64 eastbound from 664 to the HRBT. Congestion on the Norfolk side of the tunnel has 64 westbound backed up through Granby. Newport News southbound 664 tight between 35th and the Monarch Merrimack. Also in Newport News, a stalled vehicle 64 westbound at Jefferson is taking up the right inside shoulder. Tony Hayes, Money Talk 1310 and 100.9.
Hi, this is Gordon Deal. Friday on This Morning, America's First News. Critics say the disaster that was the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan late last summer is haunting President Biden's response to the Russia-Ukraine standoff. Also, would a proposed federal gas tax holiday help prices at the pump? Hear what experts are saying. And the crash course in economics on our college campuses. Friday on This Morning, America's First News.
Tomorrow morning, 6 till 8 on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9.
How's the stomach, Ryan?
Settling down.
Did you ever think you'd be up there, weightless in the space station?
I'm more like a boots-on-the-ground person, Todd.
Need to look at things from new angles.
Okay, but...
Take in the big picture.
Certainly is big.
How big?
As big as...
Our winter furnace giveaway.
Actually, I was going to say...
That's it exactly, Ryan. I'll give you a furnace for only $9.95 when you buy the matching AC.
Gotta keep our team working in the cold months.
See? Big picture.
Feeling a bit queasy.
I know we're not making much money, but...
No, the lack of gravity. Ugh.
Oh, I understand the gravity of the situation.
Not sure you do.
Houston, we have a problem.
OneHourComfort.com. Always on time or...
You don't pay a dime.
OneHourComfort.com.
We only have 63 furnaces left to give away.
Still not feeling so...
Don't worry, Ryan. Just look out the window.
Not helping.
Independently owned and operated.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Enter the endless hot shower sweepstakes for your chance to win a tankless hot water heater from Virginia Natural Gas and Miller's Home Comfort. Virginia Natural Gas customers can also complete their free online home energy audit and request a free energy savings kit. Get info and enter to win at moneytalk1310.com. Welcome back to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9. Rose and Womble Realtors, Paul Fuquay and Joyce Carcase continue their discussion of the fundamentals of home buying and selling.
Well, thank you for putting up with the messages that pay the bills. We thank those folks who sponsor the time on this station. This is the Real Estate PB&J Hour. I'm Paul Fuquay. You can listen to us, as you may be, at 1310 AM or 100.9 FM, or you can go to moneytalk1310.com and find us. It's streamed. It's very interesting stuff, folks. And we were discussing the mortgage industry and its volatility with Bill Lane from Southern Trust. He's still here. And, Bill, I'm going to ask you about investment properties. Are you seeing an increase in the number of people who are looking to put mortgages and buy or place mortgages to buy investment homes, second homes?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The investment property, you look around in our area in Hampton Roads and Virginia Beach and in the areas that we all enjoy, this is where they want to come. If it's either a second home or an investment property, however they can afford it. So to kind of differentiate between the two, a second home you could get into with as little as 10% down. You just have to be able to qualify with that payment along with the rest of your financial life. And we don't use it as an investment, as an actual rental income type of property. If you're looking to potentially purchase an investment property, you're looking at a 20% down minimum. And we can actually use some of the income that's coming in off that property to help offset that payment, which helps you qualify. But we have absolutely, I would say right now it's about 50-50 with the calls we're getting. People want the real estate. They want to be in this area. They want the investment. And it's just a matter of finding the homes.
Now, we are in a oceanfront and bayfront neighborhood. There's plenty of water going around. What impact is the flood insurance expense, if there is one attached to a property, on its affordability? Is that just calculated as the monthly cost, or what do you do with that?
Well, first of all, we have to count it in the qualifying aspect of it. But as far as the actual flood insurance itself, it can be a notable aspect of your monthly payments. So I would highly recommend that as you're looking at properties and you know certain areas, or as you have a specific property that you're very interested in, maybe even putting an offer in, I would double check and I would talk to the appropriate people to get some quotes on what the flood insurance, if any does apply, would run you. It can sometimes be a little startling.
Now, that also applies to condominium association dues and homeowners association dues? Those are
absolutely.
in the calculation?
Absolutely. Now, one of the things with the condo association dues that a lot of people don't necessarily take into account, let's say, for example, it's $250 a month. That could actually be paying for certain things that would have cost you money separately anyways, maybe water, trash pickup, whatever the case may be. So you really want to look at maintenance, upkeep, landscaping, whatever it might be. You really want to look at that before you make a knee-jerk reaction and get put off potentially by a condo or a homeowners association dues.
Is there anything that you would advise prospective buyers to avoid in the mortgage offerings? I know we have any number of national firms that advertise heavily for all kinds of special programs. Is there a benefit to using a local lender over those guys?
Well, first of all, I would absolutely avoid anybody except Bill Lane from Southern Trust Mortgage, 757-651-7474.
You didn't answer the question, though.
Okay, well,
are you the local rocket man?
There we go. Yes. Now, I would say that you're going into a purchase, especially in this market, I don't know if I would necessarily go outside of your community. I would have a local lender. I would suggest you have a loan officer that you can talk to out. You can reach out to 10 o'clock on a Sunday night and get a response. Your bigger, more marketed type of companies that are national, I think you're going to find that some of the agents that might be reviewing offers may not be as excited about that potential pre-approval letter as they may be with a local lender that they're familiar with.
Bill, I want to thank you for being here, and I hope you'll stay. We're going to take another break, and then we'll be back. The Real Estate PB&J Hour, and Money Talk 1310. We'll be back with Taylor Adams, the Deputy City Manager and Director of Economic Development for the City of Virginia Beach. Look for you to join us in a few moments. Bye-bye.
When a student lacks some of the most basic needs,
like food, clothing, and school supplies,
it can be challenging to even attend school.
It can be hard to study, tough to concentrate, impossible to thrive.
At Communities in Schools, we address this issue every day.
Out in the community, there are great resources for students, and we bring these resources directly to the students who need them most.
We work to ensure that they have everything they need to re-engage in learning in the classroom and at home,
including access to technology, learning materials,
and even emotional support.
By forging caring relationships with students and bringing communities of support to them,
our staff works to achieve equitable learning conditions so all kids can succeed in school and in life. And that's what Communities in Schools is all about.
To learn more, visit communitiesinschools.org.
In honor of all those we've lost to cancer and those still fighting and thriving, like basketball analyst and cancer champion Dick Vitale.
I want to beat cancer. I'm going to beat it. That's no doubt in my mind. I'm going to win this battle.
Defeating cancer will take all of us. Join our team to help fund game-changing research that saves lives. At the V Foundation, V is for victory over cancer. V is for victory over the odds. V is for victory over health disparities, victory over setbacks, victory over the unknown. V is for victory over giving up.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Donate to the V Foundation to join our team and help save lives.
Cancer can take away all my physical abilities. It cannot touch my mind, it cannot touch my heart, and it cannot touch my soul.
100% of donations fund game-changing cancer research. Donate now to the V Foundation at v.org.
This is a St. Jude moment.
Ashton was a high-level athlete, and in an instant, your world flips. And your healthy 5-year-old competitive cheerleader has a brain tumor. And the physician was like, your best option is St. Jude. Receiving treatment that was life-saving for our child and knowing that that treatment would be of no cost to us was a huge weight lifted.
Learn more at stjude.org.
Welcome back to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9. Rose and Womble Realtors, Paul Fuqua and Joyce Carcase continue their discussion of the fundamentals of home buying and selling.
Well, welcome back. We're here with Mr. Taylor Adams, Deputy City Manager and Director of Economic Development for Virginia Beach. Taylor, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Paul. Glad to be here.
It's my pleasure. Listen, folks, you can also try and follow us on our Facebook pages. It's Fuqua Home Sales or Joyce at Carcase Home Sales. All these episodes, all these shows are captured and they are on those sites. So hopefully you'll be able to, if you miss any of the gems of wisdom that we toss out there, you'll catch them on Facebook. Now, Taylor, your job is Director of Economic Development. And my biggest question to you is, what is the long-term outlook for continued growth for industrial and other large large employee count businesses?
Well, so Paul, that's my favorite question. And so I'll start with the short answer and then give you a little context.
Okay.
The short answer is it's great. The prospects for the Virginia Beach economy continue to be outstanding. And not just long term, whether it's immediate, short term, midterm, or long term, we continue to be one of the hottest industrial markets in the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's great. It helps that we're the largest city, but I will tell you we've not seen activity like we're seeing right now probably ever, but certainly in the 6 years that I've been here in Virginia Beach.
Is that because we have such an educated labor base?
So labor is a big part of it, but I'll speaking a little more about that in a moment. I'll tell you also a big part of it is we have the lowest taxes in the region. Certainly the lowest corporate taxes that you'll find in a large city in the Commonwealth of Virginia, as well as that a great example of that. No machineries and tools tax for manufacturers, a $0 business license. It's under certain circumstances, but then also, yes, when you add in the quality of the labor that we have here, whether that's our college educated population, whether that's servicemen and women that complete their duty here and choose to stay in our market. We know that's about 12,000 people that complete their service every year. We estimate that about 8,000 of those want to stay here in the region if they can find a way. And so yes, I mean, I will tell you, our workforce is a core driver of our economic success.
How many millions of dollars, or is it, let's say hundreds of millions of dollars of new investment with new companies that offer jobs have you generated in the past 5 or 6 years?
So I will tell you, in the 3.5 years that I have been the development director, we've been on a real hot streak, and it's important for me to say I would love to take credit for this, but I have a great team that we have built of men and women that are out there doing this work on behalf of the taxpayer every day, and that team has generated just less than $500 million in new capital investment in Virginia Beach, and just less than 3,000 jobs total.
Now, that begs a question. Why are we talking economic development in a show or on a show that is dedicated to real estate? And my question is, and I know the answer, I think, but when you address a company that's considering bringing its facility or creating a facility here or bringing new employees in, how important is the housing stock?
Oh, so Paul, it's critically important, and it's becoming more and more so. And if I can get in the weeds on that just a little bit, I'll tell you, if you back up just 5 years.
Watch out, because you're going to find Bill Lane, the mortgage officer, over there in the weeds. I'm sorry. Don't mean to break in.
Sorry, but yeah, so if you back up just 5 years, most people in my business would tell you that the site, the place where you were going to put the industry, is what would drive success. If you fast forward to the back end of this pandemic that we've all been suffering under for the last 2 years, I can tell you the next 5 years are absolutely going to be about people. It's going to be about our ability to grow our population, and so that's, I think, where rooftops really start mattering, because I can't attract people to this region and to our city without them having a place to live. So I can tell you, housing stock is going to be a critical component of our future success.
Do you have any idea what, or from the experiences in your past, what kind of an appreciation value in terms of the selling prices of houses that kind of growth can create for us?
You know, it's really interesting. And this is where it's hard to make generalizations across the national marketplace because cities are different ages, cities have different characteristics, cities have different things that make them successful. And so a couple of interesting things about Virginia Beach, and then I'll tell you a market comparison that I look at a lot. Virginia Beach is only 60 years old. It's a very young city. We were chartered in 1963. But and so if you look, if you fast forward, if you back up just to the 1960s, we were just a sleepy beach town. You fast forward to today, we're a community of 500,000 people with an incredibly broad and diverse industrial base and economy that's sort of driving us forward. That a big anchor for that, for example, would be the Port of Virginia, that's just right up the way, but again is a huge driver of employment here. One of the things that I see when I look at market appreciation and appreciation real estate values, I think about the LA Metro, and so if you think about LA in the present, they're obviously a little older than we are and much larger, but their development pattern offers something we can learn from. If you look at what drives value in LA, just like here in Virginia Beach, it's proximity to the water, and but what happened is as they got built out, and in LA's case, redevelopment became very difficult to do. You saw real estate values really accelerate in core markets there, but then you see the development pattern start working north, and it's constrained by the market, and now it's working its way east, and of course constrained on the south by the San Diego Metro. And so I think that's a great comparison for us. What I think you're going to continue, so without giving you specific percentages, and it's not to dodge your question.
No, you're not dodging.
But what I think you see is, robust growth continue in Virginia Beach as we're approaching a point where a lot of our developable land has been built. But I also think that's going to provide real opportunity for the communities that are actually here west of us.
Now, my other question is, if I am a homeowner in this area, am I going to see 10 years from now the effects of the work you're doing? Is it going to be pronounced, or am I just going to see this gradually over the next 7 to 10 years?
So if you don't see anything from me for 10 years, I'll be somewhere else. I'm one of the few folks in the world of local government that is always under pressure to produce in the present, and so I would love to say that I get to think in 10-year arcs, but really I think election to election, and so I
know a lot of other people.
Yeah, and so what I can tell you, absolutely, my team has. It's interesting. My development team. It's going to look a lot like any group of producers in any industry. We've got short-term, mid-range, long-term goals that we're working. We've got a development funnel, but our goal is always to be producing more in this year than we produced in the year before.
Okay, I'm going to take a break, folks. If you have a question for Mr. Adams, you can call us 757-497-1310. 757-497-1310. It's not that many opportunities that you get in life or to speak with somebody who's out there on the front lines shaping our community as this gentleman is, and I hold him in high regard. And I'm going to ask him now is a question that is somewhat sensitive in nature, in that we suffered a significant loss in the planning department of Virginia Beach a number of years ago. I think it was early 2020 or late 2019 that impacts what you do. What steps has the city taken to restructure that planning department in light of the losses that it suffered?
So Paul, thanks for that question, and that one, I will tell you that one is personal to me. The planning department is in my portfolio, and the men and women that sort of serve our community in that area are dear to me, as sort of all of my employees are. And what I'll say, and it was May 31st of 2019, and it's a day that no city employee will, certainly any of us that were here at that time will ever forget. And what I would just say is, in addition to the planning department, I think all of the building 2 departments were deeply affected that day, and are continuing, I hope, to not just deal with that, but also to work towards sort of recovery and getting back to normal. What, speaking specifically to the planning department, though, not just that event, but if I can, I'd like to talk about the pandemic.
No, please do.
Because what we had was so we had what was sort of a real foundational issue that happened with on May 31st. But then just 7 months later, we entered a global pandemic, and we're still coming out of it. And so what we have seen in that area is exactly what every business has seen. We've suffered under the Great Resignation. We have fought to keep our existing employees engaged. We've dealt with telework and just trying to hold basically an economy together during what we now know was as much a global financial crisis as it was a global health crisis. And so fast forward to today, our planning director, Bobby DeHaan, has done a great job here in these last few months of staffing back up, getting a nice blend of experienced professionals that can do work in the present, but also young professionals that can that we're going to train up. That'll be the next generation of leaders in that department. We're by no means there yet, but what I will tell you is we've got a department director and a team behind him that are working hard to bring the efficiency back to our community that we had before those events.
I asked that question pointedly because I have dealt as the representative or agent for builders since that March 31 event. The planning department was very difficult to deal with because of all the elements of what occurred and the aftermath there, and then the pandemic. And if we're going to continue growing our housing stock, especially new construction, the city has to be able to react and has to be able to handle the demands for permits and plans and approvals and whatever else.
Yeah, Paul, I couldn't agree more. It's funny in the development house or in the development side of the house. One of the things I tell my team all the time, it's announcements are great, but accomplishments are what get you paid. Now, all of mine are on salary; they're not working for commission. But what I will tell you is, an announcement is an activity. Ribbon cuttings are accomplishment, and so for us, you're right. We can't get to those accomplishments without the planning department. And what I'll say for that team is, over these past few months that I've had the joy of working with them, we've really first taken a deep dive in ensuring and that we understand what customer service expectation our clients in the development community have. We're baselining ourselves and working on ways to basically improve on that and ensure that first the experience people have when they come in the door with us is the experience that you would expect of any business in our community. Beyond that, we're really starting to work on, with the help of our city council in particular, who have made some changes to our stormwater ordinance in just the last 3 weeks, our stormwater administrative manual in the last 3 weeks. We're now getting it with customer service sort of as something that we're actively training now and sort of looking at every day. The next step is getting the work moving a little faster, and we know that that's a need.
Yeah, the stormwater. I dumped stormwater and tidal surge, and all those other elements of the being in a waterfront community under flooding as a general head. And I know that there has been an outcry in various neighborhoods throughout the city for additional or better planning, better execution of whatever has to be done to remove the possibility of flooding. Is that become one of the core issues for the economic development, or is that now out there in the political thicket?
So it's a bit of both. But let me say about flooding. Let's talk about the event that, and I am going to sort of get off of what would be a political narrative here for a minute, but just talk about the events that led to the conversation on flooding in Virginia Beach. And let me be careful to say, I am in no way denigrating anyone's issue with flooding. We are a community at sea level, so absolutely flooding is something that happens in this community. But there was a galvanizing issue that really kicked this off, and that was Hurricane Matthew, give or take 4 years ago. And it's important that we had 2 500-year rain events within 2 weeks.
It was amazing.
And also caught the northwest corner of a Category 2 hurricane. I think it may have been Category 1 by the time it got here. It's important to know that under those circumstances, there will always be flooding. I mean, Miami gets hurricanes all the time. When Miami gets a hurricane, it floods. That said, we have an obligation as a public to ensure that the infrastructure that we have built works. And so, as you fast forward from that event, it's important for the public to note Richmond has flooded more than Virginia Beach. From a citywide standpoint, Richmond has flooded more than Virginia Beach in the last 5 years. People don't often think about that, but the last major storm that came through went around the back of us and caught them.
How many rivers are in Richmond? One?
Yeah, that's right.
And how many rivers do we have? And is there a count of how many bridges there are in Virginia Beach?
I'm sure there are. I don't, if L.J. Hansen, our public works director, was here, I promise you he could run that number right off the top of his head. But what I would say, though, is flooding is absolutely a serious issue for us as both a community, both operationally and professionally. And so I will tell you, we have the most aggressive ordinance in the Commonwealth, and we're working to get better and better to ensure that our community is safe every day.
Taylor, I'm going to take a break here. This is Paul Fuqua. This is the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310. We'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll continue this discussion. See you then.
Money Talk Traffic.
Heavy congestion on the interstates. Here are a few of the slower spots. Southbound 664 in Newport News, stop and go 35th to the Monarch Merrimack. In Hampton, 64 eastbound is backing up from the HRBT to the 664 interchange. And in Norfolk, 264 westbound stop and go, Valentine to the downtown tunnel. Eastbound 264, there is a wreck at Military. It's on the right inside shoulder. Tony Hayes on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9.
ODU women's basketball is on Money Talk 1310. Today, the Monarchs host Marshall at Chartway Arena. Pre-game coverage starts at 6 p.m. this evening. Old Dominion University basketball on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9.
Is your current home loan the right fit for you? Near historic low rates may be a great reason to refinance, but when matched with an expertly chosen loan from Loan Depot, you could be saving money and paying more towards the bottom line. Call a Loan Depot loan officer and ask about our 27-year Smart Term loan or our 10-year ARM loan. Get a great rate matched with a great loan by calling 866-888-LOAN or visit loandepot.com. At Loan Depot, home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing opportunity. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
Have you ever wanted to learn a new language like French, Spanish, or Russian, but thought it would be too difficult and time-consuming? Then go to Babbel.com and try it for free. Babbel works because it's built around real life. It teaches you everyday practical conversations that you will actually use. In 15 minutes a day, you'll be on your way to speaking a new language in just a few weeks. Babbel uses a modern conversation-based technique that makes language engaging, fun, and memorable. It starts by teaching you words and phrases. Then, sentences gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations about real-life topics. Babbel is created by language experts who use the spaced repetition method to help you learn quickly and remember what you learned. With Babbel, you can speak a new language. Babbel. Language for life. Celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Welcoming you back to appointment day at the Martinez house. Raul Martinez looking stressed about scheduling a colon cancer screening.
Anyone 45 or older should have this booked yesterday. The procrastination is disgraceful. This man needs to focus.
From your lips to his ears, Stephen A. He's typing away solid form. He just pledged to get screened on takeahealthystand.org.
Uh-oh, now Raul's looking at his cell phone. This is unacceptable. Is he watching a cute video right now?
Oh, it's the one where the cat thinks he's people.
That cat is not a person. It's preposterous.
Focus, Raul. Yes, he's finished the form. He's made a telemedicine appointment next Tuesday, 9:30. All he's got to do is hit send.
Look out. His eyes are wandering.
Not back to the stress ball thingy. But Raul uses his other hand to hit send.
Stand Up to Cancer and Optum want to help you reduce your risk for cancer. Visit takeahealthystand.org.
Welcome back to the Real Estate PB&J Hour on Money Talk 1310 and 100.9. Rose and Womble Realtors, Paul Fuquay and Joyce Carcase continue their discussion of the fundamentals of home buying and selling.
Welcome back. We're still here with Taylor Adams, and we have Bill Lane. The next issue that I really want to broach with Mr. Adams is that of the beach erosion and sand replenishment that occurs in the city. And my question to him is, is there a plan, or is it on an ad hoc basis for the actual what's the right word here? Replenishment of the sand? Taylor, help me out here.
So thanks, Paul. So for clarity, there absolutely is a plan. We have a division of our Public Works Department, Coastal Engineering, who are responsible for managing. So there are 31 miles of coastline in Virginia Beach. Now we are responsible for give or take 28 of those. There's three that let's just say there's 3 miles that the Department of Defense maintains control of. But we have 28 miles of public coastline that are all maintained by our Coastal Engineering Department with our division within Public Works, and there absolutely is a plan for managing and measuring those stretches of sand.
Well, if we have a bad storm and a certain section washes out that isn't in the plan to be done until 18 months from now, can that plan be adjusted on an ad hoc basis?
So, and this is where it's important for me to clarify that I'm not an engineer, and in the event that anyone from our Public Works Department is listening, I'm not pretending to be one. But the answer to that, in sort of layman's terms, is it depends. It's because you can't. we can't just in all cases run the dredge out there and blow fresh sand up on the beach. Obviously, there's a certain quality of sand that's required. I mean, and it's guess what, called beach quality sand, and so we've got to have that.
That's in relatively short supply, isn't it? I mean, you're talking being out there either in the ocean or in the bay.
It is in short supply. There's less of it than you think, and so the key for us is in the event that we have those erosion events, making sure that there's a supply of sand that's available for us to return to the beaches. If not, that process can take a bit longer.
I understand that you are a deputy city manager and you're the director of economic development, but where does the sand go? I mean, when it washes off our beach, does it end up in North Carolina or does it go up to the, where does it go? It goes somewhere.
I have no idea. I don't know. I mean, that's a great question. I can try to get you that answer, but
well, we'll have you back in with that answer because I'd sure like to know because that's where I'd go put my dredge is where the sand went.
may have to call the man upstairs for a little clarification on where he's sending our sand. But no, I really don't know.
Well, look, we can try, but I'm going to ask Bill to step in, realizing that we have situations where our economy or our home values are predicated on proximity to the water. And is it possible for you when you are doing a loan and you have a piece of property that people are buying that's right on the ocean front, do you look at the beach and its width and its schedule for replenishment in establishing the value in concert with the appraiser that you've sent out there, or do you just ignore that and say, well, these people want this house, they qualify, and we've got a decent appraisal regardless of how much sand is out there?
So on our end, we're looking at the money. So I'm a mortgage loan officer. I'm not an appraiser. So I can't really speak to that, but I can tell you that on the appraisal side, they look at everything. They want to make sure they're protecting the borrower, they're protecting the lender, they're protecting everybody in the transaction to make sure they know certain aspects. For example, there might be deep water. It's felt that the house is on deep water, but they find out its title, whatever the case may be. That's on the appraiser and on the appraisal itself. I'm just here to lend the money.
Well, I mean, when your job is dependent in part on that value. Do you?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
I mean, so do you provide a warning to your clients? Hey, you got to check this out.
I usually defer that to you, Paul.
Thank you. Well, yeah, we're all dodging bullets here. What do you think? There's a political convention? This is a radio show for guys. I'm promoting myself as a realtor.
My job is for the money to be there when they go to the closing table, Paul.
And you've always done a good job of that.
All right, thank you for that.
All right, now I'm going to ask Taylor to step back in, and because we got another issue, and that there is the infamous green line, which has been in place for as long as I've been here, 25 years. And the green line, for those of you who don't know, and Mr. Adams can probably explicate it better than I can, green line is a line of demarcation between what's developable property and what's going to be agricultural property. And that's a lot of acreage in Pungo.
And so, yes, and I'll provide a little context as it relates from a policy standpoint as to how we look at it, because there's actually, Paul, a green line and a blue line.
Oh.
And so there are two lines. And but really, the easiest way to think of this is if you back up 25 or 30 years, the city was making a real investment in public infrastructure by way of roads, water, sewer, all of the things that it would take for this community to grow. And for those of you that were here, you'll remember for years that worked. We were the fastest growing city in America. One of the things that we did, though, we recognized that before we put more burden on the taxpayer, it was important that we maximize the value of the infrastructure that had been built. And so that's where these two programs those are the policy decisions that led to the establishment of the two programs. Also, it's important to note that the further we work south towards the North Carolina line, with the exception of the Pungo Ridge, you also get closer and closer to sea level. And also, given that that's the traditional agricultural part of our community, there were a lot of folks that wanted to preserve that as sort of the role that it has played in the cultural history of the city. And so, as it relates to what that means in the present, it does mean that there are real constraints on development really what I like to think of it as south of City Hall, but it's south of the two lines in the old part of Princess Anne County. I don't foresee policy changes on the horizon. I mean, that's really a question for the elected body, but that is what it would take to change that.
What constitutes the blue line? Is that the military line for the noise and?
So, and this predates me a little bit. I think the blue line is really where they stopped. So it's either water or sewer expansion.
Okay.
I think it's where they stopped building maybe the sewer lines. I'll have to get an answer on that.
Well, I'm going to ask another question. As we continue to add employees through the influx of new companies, we still have a transportation problem. And is there an answer other than light rail, or is that the ultimate solution to the log jams that occur?
So
traffic jams.
So Paul, you get a deputy city manager to stake himself to light rail in Virginia Beach,
No.
and you've ended my career.
No. I'm not. I'm just. Look, I lived through the metro being put in D.C., and my plant was downtown. And we were driving on 8x8s for years.
Sure.
And that developed economic corridors.
And I'm of course kidding about that. So it is interesting. Yes. As we continue to build population, absolutely we're going to see continued pressure on both our transportation infrastructure, both the interstate highways and our arterial corridors like Independence, Virginia Beach Boulevard, Princess Anne, things of that nature. And so the question really though is not so much limiting ourselves to a train or solutions that have been in other places, but I mean, recognizing that things like autonomous vehicles are right around the corner, and recognizing that there are other solutions that we are seeing every day. Also, if you look at our city, you can see that we're quickly densifying in two places, our Pembroke sort of town center area, but then also at the resort. And so denser residential uses will take some pressure off of the roads, because you'll have more people walking and cycling to work and using multimodal transportation. But really, we think the market is going to deliver for us some exciting new technologies. Without getting ahead of my mayor's State of the City speech, we're actually going to be debuting 2 of those here this summer, which we think will be a great advancement for the community.
I know this, that I've lived in this area for 25 years, and I've seen an appreciable difference in the approach of the administration in the very recent past. And it seems as though this city is very, very much out in front of the curve that's necessary to successfully grow a city without burdening the citizens with an onerous tax base. We still, what is it per 100? I think Chesapeake is 1.04. What is Virginia Beach?
0.99, Paul.
Oh, boy.
And so what I will tell you is, if I can brag on our elected officials just a little bit, you have seen a long-term commitment in this community to being a place that was where business could grow, but where families could also prosper. And that is as true today as it was in 1963. And so we work really hard to maintain that. And I will tell you, you would be hard-pressed to find another city of 500,000 people in the United States where you could have as close contact to the elected body as you have right here, where you have a city council that listens and truly has a heart for serving the public.
That's well said, and I think it's readily apparent in the progress that the city's made. And I'm going to brag on my son's birthplace and hometown. That's Chesapeake. We're going to have Mayor Rick West here next year, and I know you've worked with Rick, and I know that he thinks very much in tune with your kind of growth, and he faces the same kind of resistance to some elements of growth. Traffic is one, and I don't know any way to solve the issue of more cars on the road.
Yeah, I don't either, but I do want to echo your sentiments about Mayor West. He's one of the first guys I met when I arrived here in Virginia Beach 6.5 years ago, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for him, and have real respect for and appreciation for his leadership, and really what is one of our sister communities to just east.
How many miles of border, I wonder, are shared by Virginia Beach and Chesapeake? Is it more than Norfolk and Virginia Beach? I don't know. I don't
Paul,
know those.
I don't know that right off the top of my head.
Hey, Bill Lane, do you know anything about that?
But what I can do, it's a lot.
Oh boy! How much time do we have left? Can I go into any deep conversations now?
You got a little less than 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, folks, I'm going to use 2 minutes to promote myself. I'm Paul Fuqua. I'm a realtor with Rosenwalmer Realty. You can see me on Facebook at Home Sales, Fuqua Home Sales, and my partner Joyce Carcase at Carcase Home Sales. You can call us up, Google us. It's Paul Fuqua, Fuqua. My number is 757-449-7463, 449-7463. I've been selling houses in this market for 25 years, and I've been very fortunate to run across an awful lot of really good people, and I like to think that I do a stellar job in bringing value to a transaction so that your expectations are exceeded, and that we do the job so that your experience with the real estate transaction is seamless. So if you want to discuss the sale or purchase of a house, please call me, Paul Fuqua, Rosenwalmer, 449-7463. Look forward to next week. Thank you so much for being our audience, and have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye.